It's time with JMU Hall of Famer Delvin Joyce.
Joyce breaks a tackle and goes in for a touchdown. Another spectacular run by Delvin Joyce.
Alongside one of the best signal callers in JMU history.
Bad Lee, he's got plenty of room across the 50 to the 40. He should make it all the way to the 20, 15, 10, 5. Touchdown, James Madison University.
Together, the duo bring their unique perspective to the podcast, breaking down all the things they're seeing about JMU football. This is To the House. Now, here's Delvin Joyce with Vad Lee.
What's going on, JMU Nation? Welcome to the season finale of To the House. I am your host, Delvin Joyce, the People's Choice. I am joined one more time by my good friend and future JMU Hall of Famer, Vad Lee. What's up, Vad?
What's good in the hood, man? You know, hey, it's always great to be a Duke, baby.
Always great to be a Duke, man. Tough outing out in Oregon, man. But I got to tell you, bro, so I want to make sure we talk about this game because I really want to get into it. I also today want to talk about, you know, where we go from here and what maybe will happen in this offseason. And then we'll talk about some expectations for the Billy Napier era as we move forward. But Vat, I do want to talk about this game and my experience in Eugene, Oregon. First off, my voice is almost back. Like when I tell you I was hoarse on Friday night, having gone to the JMU alumni event in Eugene, right? Like I was talking so much and like, you know, I lost my voice that night. So I knew I was in trouble on Saturday. And by the way, I do want to say, man, shout out to Paula Poglace, man. I think she's the director of alumni relations. They put on a phenomenal just experience for JMU alums and fans in the Eugene area, probably also in Portland, but I landed in Eugene. But Vat, were you following the festivities on social media?
You know, it's interesting. I have taken a 2-week sabbatical off social media as we go into the new year, which is a very interesting time to get off social media, right? Because the Dukes are like at the highlight, at the pinnacle of being the topic, right? That everybody's talking about. Went from not supposed to be here to now. I know there's probably some news in the transfer portal, which is not faring me well. I don't know if, you know, if things have moved so fast, but I will tell you, man, from the game itself, it was a beautiful production, right? Like
Yeah.
it was almost like a dream in reality where it's like, yo, this is the Dukes of JMU, like on the big stage, playing against Oregon at their home field. It was beautiful. I can't say that. So I wasn't there, but in terms of like just the production of it, man, it was really cool. Like it was a cool experience even without being there. How many people was at the game? Like how many Dukes was there? Talk to us about that.
Well, I'm going to get into that in a second. I do want to give you props, man, and just tell you, you are smart to be off of social media right now, bro. I made the mistake of getting into Instagram comment beefs with a bunch of people, and I know better. You know what I'm saying?
The People's Choice. I mean, about to lay the smackdown on them.
I know, man. I know better. I mean, there's this philosophical scholar. His name is Sean Carter. Some people call him Jay-Z, I think. But he said once, a wise man told me, don't argue with fools because people from a distance can't tell who's who. Yeah. And I don't know why I subjected myself. But once you get started, you know, and you drop one comment and then they drop another comment, and then next thing you know, you're in a full out, you know,
bro.
It's dumb, bro.
You're in deep.
I'm in deep. And it's like, you know, I have so much pride and respect for my team. I have a lot of pride. I have a lot of respect for Oregon. But at the same time, bro, you're not going to diss my team. And but I know better. And, you know, the crazy thing is there are people right now who do this nonstop 365 about politics, going back and forth with people on Instagram and Twitter about politics. I don't know how they do it, bro. No wonder everybody's walking around frowning all day because I would be a miserable person if I did that all day.
Bro, I'm trying to tell you, like this week into the House podcast, like last week, things were starting to change. Like that was a turn where it was like you get more views, you get more comments, you get all of these people like saying your name badly. You know, I'm used to people saying my
Yeah.
name in positive light, right? Now they're like, who is this
Bro.
guy? Played at little old JMU, right? And so
Yeah, man.
it started to turn.
I got to say, man, I mean, you know, as sad as I am that this is the last episode of To the House for the season, I'm not mad at it either, man. I need a break, bro. I need a break, especially with all the slander. We'll get into that in a little bit. But you asked about my experience in Oregon, man. The first thing I got to say, man, is their fans were absolutely amazing. They were exactly what my good friend Wesley Mallard said they would be, in that, you know, they were so welcoming. We got invited to so many tailgates. I had some amazing pizza with some people that were tailgating not too far from where we were tailgating. And, you know, the common theme, and I've never been in a place where I felt this way, where people actually said this, like people were saying, welcome to Autzen, thanks for coming. Like if I had $1 for every time somebody said, welcome to Autzen, thanks for coming, like I would be a rich man right now, because literally everybody said that. I felt like they were genuinely appreciative of the fact that there were so many people in purple that had made the time and the investment commitment to show up there and experience a game that I think meant a lot to them, right? Remember, this is their first playoff game on campus, and that was a big deal for them. And so I was really excited about it. You know, I had an opportunity to go down to, I think it was called 5th Street Public Square or something. Hang on, I got it written in my notes somewhere. Yeah, but it was, 5th Street Public Market. And I had the chance to go to this restaurant called High on the Hog. And I met this great guy. Had some great wings, by the way. And, you know, he said something to me that I had not considered that. And I'm curious if you had considered this. He said, you know, moving to the Big Ten has really sort of changed what game day in Eugene looks like for them. Because, you know, a lot of these Big Ten teams who are all the way on the East Coast, they ain't traveling out to Autzen.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so he just, you know, he was so appreciative that there were so many people in purple that showed up at their restaurant in that 5th Street Public Market to patronize those businesses. I mean, so that's a story around conference realignment and the way these conferences are spread out that I don't think people are really talking about.
Yeah.
Had you considered that?
I had not considered that. And I mean, certainly you got to consider the local economy and how these sports events bring in so much, you know, funds. It brings new people to the area. It brings a new experience to your experience, right? Where you get to now pull out the red carpet for new people that's coming in, even though it's like, hey, welcome to Autzen, thanks for coming. Like we gonna take care of y'all on the field, but hey, just thanks for coming. Like go spend your money on the restaurant, you know, go to the bars. We'll take that. We thank you for coming. We're gonna handle you on the field. And so, you know, when I think about like the local economy and just like what sports, think about those, you know, like Oregon, those teams those college, you know, places that don't have a professional team, right? Or you know, they kind of look at them as it. And so, yeah, that is interesting. I appreciate you bringing that up, because I think that needs to be more in consideration than just being money hungry about realignment and conference things.
Yeah. And, you know, the other thing that I would say about the fan experience, they were almost too nice. You know what I'm saying? Because like we're from the Sun Belt, bro. Like we want to muck it up a little bit with you and like give you a little crap. And I got to say, like, so, you know me, man, I'm going to be in it. Right. And so we're walking around the tailgate, and I'm walking around to their fans. I'm like, hey, you guys are welcome to come to our tailgate in 2 weeks in Miami. You know, just like, hey, you guys, right? So they're like, come to our tailgate. And I'm like, yeah, you guys could come to our tailgate in 2 weeks in Miami. And, you know, I'm like, what is that? What is that zero on your hat? What does that stand for? Right? Not the O for Oregon. I'm like, is that the number of national championships you guys have? And for the most part, most of them kind of played along, and, you know, it was a good time, right?
That was good stuff.
I walked by a group of kids, and they were like, F JMU, right? And they didn't say F, right? They actually said the word. I think it was like the few students that were actually there. And I went over there and I was like, yeah, F JMU, and gave them high fives. And it was just like, it's fun because it's a game and you want to muck it up, because at the end of the day, it is a competition.
Bro, let me just insert. I remember playing when I was at Georgia Tech. We went to go play BYU at BYU.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you ever been there, but everything that you described is what I experienced as a starting quarterback at Georgia Tech. Go there, and I remember just warming up. And I don't know if our players maybe received this type of treatment as well, but warming up, they cheered for us when we ran out on the field.
Oh yeah, that's
And
weird.
yeah, and also like as I'm warming up, they're like, "Hey, Pat Lee," calling my name, and like they're waving at me, and so I'm like confused because I'm like, do I wave back? And
Yeah.
like finally I wave back, and they all start cheering, and I'm just like, I don't know what type of games y'all playing right now. I mean, we got smacked, by the way, when we were
Yeah.
there too. So I don't know if it's some psychological game, but even their coach, Dan Lanning, I mean, they got this psychological thing kind of figured out. I'm gonna tell
Oh
you.
yeah. No, they definitely got it figured out, man. In fact, it's funny you say that about the fans. Like so we sat in section 34, which was kind of down in the lower bowl. They put the JMU fans who bought tickets through Duke Club up in the upper bowl, kind of, and sort of toward the end zone. So we were surrounded mostly by Oregon fans. And I got to tell you, man, even the fans that we were surrounded by, they were super nice. There was a kid in front of us who knew more about our roster than I think you do. Right? He's like, yeah, man, Alonzo Barnett, he's really good. You think you guys are going to keep him? And then Wayne Knight, I mean, I can't believe the guy rushed for 1,200 yards this year. I mean, he's incredible. Like they knew about our team, which I thought was phenomenal.
That's what's up.
But yeah, I mean, it was cool too, Vad, because there was a lot of people asking about Vad Lee, right? Like there's a lot of people at the alumni event in Eugene, like, hey, where's Vad, man? When are you gonna get Vad to come to a game? You couldn't talk Vad into coming to Oregon. And so everybody wants to see you. And I will tell you, man, probably the craziest thing about the experience there is as I'm walking through the stadium, both before the game, halftime of the game, and after the game, I had no less than 10 Oregon fans walk up to me and say, really enjoy the podcast.
What?
Yeah.
You're lying. Get out of here.
It's crazy, man. I wish I could video it, man. But yeah, I mean, people walk up and say, really enjoy the podcast, which I thought was really cool, man. So I had a great experience, man. Saturday night, I got to meet the JMU Barstool guys who run that account for JMU Barstool. We got to share in some libations. Just really, really cool kids who I think have done a really good job with that account and just sort of putting JMU in that national social media conversation. Yeah. So they were super dope, man. But got to meet Neil Shipley, the golfer, who competed in the Masters a couple of years ago, like very competitive. So he came to our tailgate. So just a really, really cool event. Now let's talk about the actual game, right? And before I kind of get into that, a couple of things I do want to say about Autzen Stadium. Like, incredible atmosphere. And what I think what's great about Autzen, Vad, is that, as we think about expanding our stadium, a lot of people think you got to have a 90,000, 100-seat stadium. You got to have, like, the big house, or you got to have what Ohio State has in the horseshoe or whatever they call that thing. I mean, to see this stadium, which holds 54,000 people, you would have thought there was 100,000 people in there, right? And so I think as JMU thinks about expanding our stadium responsibly, I honestly think Autzen is the model because their fans are also the model. Yeah. They are so engaged in that game. Not a single person for Oregon sat down the entire time, right? Wow. And no shade to JMU Nation because I love JMU Nation, but we're still learning how to fan, right? And when I go to a JMU game, I'm the only clown standing up in the stands on 3rd down and 6, right? For our offense, we need to be more like that. Like go to the game, stand up, be loud the entire game. And I think that was the model.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. It was really cool being able to see like a whole Oregon stadium full of fans that are just into like on the camera. These big stadiums, they can't even get the full stadium in the screen because it's just too big, right? But when you're watching a game, like they can fit Oregon Stadium, but it just seems like 100,000, like you said. Like it just seems like 100,000. Everybody's on top of each other, right?
Yeah.
It's really no personal space.
Yeah.
But you're paying for the experience, right?
Right.
It's not just the football game itself. It's the whole experience that you're paying for, and you kind of wanted to be competitive to get in, right? You
Yeah,
kind
no
of,
doubt.
and so yeah, man, I totally agree with you on that statement. In terms of James Madison growth, we're not we shouldn't strive to be like the biggest or even be the best stadium, the biggest stadium. No, like make it an experience that's worth wanting to get in.
Yeah, because Bridgeforth right now with 25,000 is electric, right? And I've always said this, man. If you take if we expand to 80,000 seats and we put 40,000 people in there, it'll feel like 10,000. But if we expand to 40,000 seats and we put 40,000 people in there, it feels like 100,000. And I think that's part of what Oregon has right now. I will say, as much as their fans were into it, I thought Shout was overrated. Like, at the end of the third quarter, they put Animal House on the Jumbotron and everybody does Shout. I just thought, I'm going to catch hate for this. I thought it was corny and overrated, bro. And maybe it was because we were getting dog walked at that point, but I just was like, oh, whatever, man. But I will say they do this drone show in the game.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Now that was worth the price of admission. And I'm telling you something, man, I am not easily impressed. I was impressed with that. Like, that was something I've never seen before, bro. I'll text you pictures and video after this call.
Do you think they do that every game, or just because it's the season where everybody's doing the light shows, Christmas time?
Well, I guess I would guess that they can't do it during a day game. I mean, maybe they do,
Yeah,
but
sure.
but maybe they do it for night games. But it was pretty spectacular.
That sounds. I'm Mr. Dad over here all the time. Like, that sounds like something I would want to.
It was spectacular.
Experience.
I mean, for those of you who may have not been there or have not experienced this, just Google it. Probably, you could probably Google Oregon Drone Show. It was incredible. Now, and the last thing I'll say before we talk more specifically about the game, our team lost bad, but our band won.
Okay.
Our band won, man. The Marching Royal Dukes, man, they showed up and showed out. I thought they were phenomenal. And it was cool because the Oregon fans, I didn't see anybody leave at halftime. Like, they're still standing up in the stadium, and they gave our band a raucous round of applause. I was really, really impressed with those people, man. And our band really crushed it. And overall, I would say JMU Nation crushed it. 3,000 plus people showed up out there at Autzen Stadium. And we went crazy, and we were throwing streamers, and they were throwing streamers. I didn't throw any streamers from where I was, but they were throwing streamers in the stadium, and it was beautiful.
Why didn't you throw any streamers?
Because I didn't have any streamers. I told you I wasn't getting thrown out, man. $2,000 to get out there, I'm not getting thrown out.
Come on, you the people's choice. Come on,
go on, man. So let's talk about the game. Obviously, it was a very, very rough start. The first half did not go the way we wanted it. And Vet, I would say that I'm going to give you a lot of movie references in this episode, right? Because I'm a huge movie buff. One of my favorite movies of all time is Rocky IV, right? When Rocky Balboa is up against Ivan Drago, the Russian, and there's a moment in that movie, right? If you remember, nobody gave Rocky a chance to win, right? He's a huge underdog, and the Russian seemed invincible. And going into this game, I felt like, obviously JMU's a huge underdog. Oregon somewhat seems invincible, especially for us, right? The G5 team who shouldn't be in the playoffs, quote unquote. And if you watch Rocky, there's a moment in the match where Rocky's getting crushed, and then he finds a way to land a punch, right? Mm-hmm. And he cuts Ivan Drago, and everybody's like, the announcers on the movie, he's like, he's cut, the Russian's cut. And it's at that moment that Rocky and everybody else started to have belief that he could win the game. We never had, in this game for us, we never had the Russian's cut moment. We had some opportunities. The double pass, right, from Nick DeGennaro to Landon Ellis. If we score on that play, I think that's the Russians cut moment. And it just didn't happen. And worse, we didn't even get points on that drive. But Vat, for you, let's talk about the offensive performance and just talk big picture overall. What were your thoughts about how the game sort of played out, especially in the beginning?
Yeah. Well, first I'll shout out Dave Riggert and Q Reed. They've done a phenomenal job all year on the radio broadcast, like the
Yeah.
live radio. I actually listened to them first and pictured the game, like because I was on the road, and then I was able to watch like the ending and then watch it again. But yeah, in terms of like the game itself, man, um, I thought we started off strong. Like that first drive, right? I thought that like well, even before going back, let me talk about Oregon for a second.
Yeah.
It just seemed like, this underdog, they got the underdog coming in, the team that's technically don't supposed to be in the playoffs that just barely got by, right? They came out with the dog mentality, right? They took the underdog and just took the dog word and said, "Hey, we just gonna come out with a dog mentality." I mean, I remember listening on the radio and the referee talking at the coin toss, and then Oregon wins the toss and they get the ball. I'm like, okay, all right. I kind of know what you're saying, right? You kind of know, like, hey, no. Usually, people go for people that don't know. Usually, people mostly go for defense first, right?
Oh yeah.
And they want to stop your offense, stop the momentum, and then put their offense out. Oregon's like, no, put our offense out.
And by the way, I was happy about that. I was like, here we go, man. We get to see what our defense does.
Yeah, yeah. I because their coach and I kind of been watching this guy for years now. You remember the whole Prime era, Coach Prime, when he went to Colorado and hype, and he had that famous speech. The Oregon coach like they playing for clicks, we playing for wins, right?
Yeah.
He won me over ever since that day, and so
Yeah.
anyway,
I thought it was corny, but sure.
no, hey, I would have been one of those players in that locker room like, let's
I
go.
thought it was corny because they recorded it and then got a bunch of clicks off of it. Like leave that in the locker room. By the way, I love Dan Lanning. I think the guy
That's
was
not
freaking
him
genius.
recording. That's the ESPN one.
I know. Get out of my locker room.
Anyway, back to the game. No, they came out with that 12 personnel. I mean, 13 personnel. It was almost saying like, "Hey, you got to prove it.
Yeah.
You got to. Y'all had an amazing season. Y'all do some good things, but at the end of the day, you got to prove it on this level." And I thought that they just came out with that demeanor, and it never, like, we never was able to prove it. Right?
Yeah.
We were never able to really like have them stressed and put them in stress situations. I thought their coaches had a phenomenal game plan. I'm not
Totally.
gonna say like obviously, they got talent, right? They're talented, right? But I didn't necessarily think that it was like a big talent separator more than it was and I'm not saying their coaches like outcoached our coaches. It just they took what they had and they knew what JMU had, and it's like, hey, we're not going to try to be fancy. We're not going to try to like get our quarterback in rhythm and throw a 5 yard out here or whatever. No, we're going to smash mouth football
Yeah.
and just let the game come to you. I thought their quarterback did a great job of not trying to force too many things. Like he did throw 2 interceptions. Shout out to our defense for creating turnovers. I think that, from an offensive standpoint, if you like tell me that Alonzo Barnett is going to have over 200 yards passing, I think he had what?
273.
Yeah, 273, 2 touchdowns. And if you tell me Wayne Knight has over 100 yards rushing, that's all year. That's a game that we blow out. Like that's a blowout for us.
Not only that, man, you tell us we're going to have 509 total yards of offense and score
Yeah.
34 points.
Yeah.
I'm also, because of the way our defense has performed all season, I would tell you that we got a shot. And obviously, I mean, Oregon's the number 5 team in the country, right? So the level of competition went way up. It's not a G5 P4 thing. It is a 12 seed versus a 5 seed.
Absolutely.
The 12 seed ain't meant to beat the 5 seed, right? I mean, if
Correct.
they do, it's an upset. So stop making it a G5 P4 thing, right?
Absolutely. And all the people that saying that JMU didn't belong or whatever, man, we can put that to bed. We can put that to rest. And
Yeah.
because now the whole story is about, should we be worried about Oregon now because
Yeah.
JMU had scored 34 points, so they had success. No, give JMU its props. So same people that were saying like JMU don't belong now saying, oh, like Oregon might
Might
have
not
some
be
problems.
legit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, more Oregon's defense, man. No. How about you
No.
give us some credit, right?
You got to give JMU props and you got to give JMU credit. And I thought that, I will say, I did not think that the moment was too big for JMU. I don't think we played like the moment was too big. Now,
I feel,
block punt,
yeah.
block field goal. That is one thing that I didn't want to see in this game because that kind of proved like that kind of, I don't know, little plays like that makes it seem like you don't belong, right?
Well,
go ahead.
Here's what I would just say about the offense. I thought the offense performed really well, Vad. I think to your point, I don't think, and I'm looking at Alonzo Barnett III because I said last week that a lot of our success in this game would hinge on how well he plays. And I did not feel like the moment was too big for him. I was really impressed with the way that he came out. I was impressed with the way our entire offense came out because I feel like they all competed. They played well enough for us to be competitive. They didn't score well enough for us to win the game. And, if our defense had been a little more competitive, and we'll talk about the defense in a second, but had our defense played a little more competitively, then I think we would have been in this game from the start because we drove the football down the field. Like Oregon goes down, scores, and we drive it right back, 65 yards, get inside the 10 and get a field goal. Right? So, the other thing is I also think, man, if you look at our offensive line, one of the places that people said we were outmatched, I thought our offensive line performed really well, right?
Yeah.
And in spite of Oregon's size and speed and quickness up front, our offensive line performed really well. So
how many sacks did we give up? 2 sacks, is that right?
I think we gave up 2. It could have been 3. I can't remember. But
that's a good day in terms of offensive line playing against the number 5 team in the playoffs. Come on, like.
Well, I said it last week. I mean, they don't get a lot of pressure with their interior offensive line. I misspoke last week and said that, they get sacks with their linebackers. Their linebackers are classified. They're technically edge rushers, and they typically bring a little pressure up the field with those edge rushers, right? And so that's what I was trying to say last week. But yeah, they get pressure only when a lot of times they bring an extra person. They don't really get there with their front 4 or front 3 linemen. And so, our offensive line did struggle a bit in the run game at times, but I thought they protected Alonzo Barnett very well.
Yeah, I mean, I thought they held up, right? You don't know what you gonna get when you're going against these big guys. This was a moment to see where we were. I mean, this is a moment to see like, hey, I think I know, but truly you don't know until your foot hits the turf against this amazing team. And one of the things that was unique for the first time all year long, I seen Wayne Knight get tackled by the first man.
I know. I was
like, and now Wayne Knight had an amazing game. Like he broke some. Like he did. He still hey, over 100 yards. I'm not taking anything away from him, right?
Yeah.
But it was the first time with my eyes that I seen somebody take Wayne Knight down, and it was the first guy. And I'm like, that kind of credit to Oregon. I mean, you got to credit to their talents. But I mean, I will say, this was the big stage for us, right? And at the end of the day, talent looks for a stage to perform.
Yeah.
And now that you've given JMU this stage, right, it's only up from here. It really is only up from here. And for our offense, I thought they did what they were supposed to do. In terms of getting the ball in the end zone, I would have liked to see them, I would have liked to see us get the ball in the end zone. But if you take the scoring, right, the second quarter was like, hey, Oregon just, they showing who they are. 21-3. We were outscored 21-3. But that first quarter, it's 13-3, and we had a field goal that was blocked. So that
Yeah.
first quarter could have been we could have been 13-6 down one possession in the second quarter. Like with 12 minutes ago, it was 13-3.
Well,
right, and then Oregon kind of just took it from there. The third quarter, 14-14. In the fourth quarter, we outscored them 14-3. And so, obviously, the game was kind of out of hand at that point. But I will say, from an offensive standpoint,
was it? I mean, they
Yeah,
kept their starting quarterback in the game the entire game. So, at some point, if you say the game's out of hand, I'm not going to leave my starting quarterback in the game. And
Right.
sure, we didn't get a lot of pressure on him, but anything can happen in a football game. Somebody could break free and hit him late, and now you don't have him against Texas Tech. So for anybody that wants to say, well, we took our starters out and all this stuff, I don't care. You had to start a quarterback in the game, bro. The game ain't over if you got your starting quarterback in the game.
And if you have here's the thing that we know about football. If you have your starting quarterback in the game, you ain't taking nobody out on defense.
Right, exactly.
You ain't taking nobody out on defense.
No.
If you have your starting quarterback in, that means everybody's playing.
And by the way, furthermore, your starting quarterback's still throwing the ball downfield.
Absolutely.
Right? So we let the foot off the gas? Okay, you did. But here's the thing, man. I love the way these kids competed, man. I mean, especially on offense. Nick DeGennaro showed up believing that he was an NFL player, right? He's been saying it all year, and I think he performed that way. That touchdown that he had to start the third quarter was absolutely electric. That was a highlight. And by the way, that was their starting corner who got absolutely crushed, broken ankles on the sideline by Nicky D, right? Some G5 kid. And took it to the crib and broke somebody else's ankles right at the 5-yard line to get into the end zone. Right. And, I love the way, like on our opening drive, Alonzo Barnett III just absolutely pancakes their starting DB.
Man.
I mean, insane. And by the way, he wasn't a third stringer, right? That was their starting DB got pancaked in the first quarter.
Geeked.
By our quarterback.
Yeah. Hey, man, it shows us again. When you put us on a big stage, that's where our talent. Like, for example, when we played, and I'll be real quick. When we played against SMU, nobody would have remembered that, I had 270 and 270 rushing and passing if we was playing somebody like on the FCS level. People remember that because it was on a bigger stage. It was on a bigger stage. People, even though, everybody's going to see this as a loss.
Yeah.
Right. No, this is a loss. We ain't taking nothing away. It's a loss, but you now elevated us on a bigger platform and a bigger stage to the point now where when people see JMU, they see an expectation and a level of excellence. They don't necessarily see like, oh, they lost to Oregon. No, it's like they were one of 27 teams that was in the college football playoffs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so like going back to the game, Alonzo on the first drive, making that happen, like, bro, you got a lot of respect from me. Like, you got a lot of respect from JMU Nation, from your team. It's not even about me or JM. It's about teammates, right? You're putting everything out there on the line to try to go and win this game. And so, man, that play alone in itself had me so fired up. And,
he knocked the kid off his feet, bro. And by the way, that they say that kid is one of the best corners in the nation, and I believe it. I think the kid's phenomenal. Finney, I think, is his name. But he still got decleated by a quarterback, a G5 quarterback.
I was watching, and I wanted Alonzo to, like, I ain't gonna lie, I wanted him to, like, he was on their sideline. I wanted him to look at everybody and just, like, give him a little stare. I was like, dang, he didn't go hard enough for me.
It was still early, my guy.
But I don't care.
But this guy from Barstool, Dave Portnoy, the founder of Barstool, like does a post throwing shade at Taddeo on our team, our defensive tackle, who's filling in for Emmanuel Bush, who I don't think played in the game. I haven't had a chance to watch the game back to see if he actually got in for any plays, but he shows this clip on his Instagram and on Twitter, and he's throwing shade at Taddeo running after Dante Moore or running after one of their running backs, I think. And,
I do remember seeing that.
And he's like, I mean, look at this kid looking like he's about to poo his pants. Is this what we're looking at, G5? Are we serious with these games? And I'm like, first off, you're throwing shade at a kid for giving maximum effort, which is outrageous. And how about Dave Portnoy? How about you show the clip of our quarterback decleating your freaking starting safety? I mean, cornerback, right?
Talk to him.
How about you show that one and say, is this what we're doing, G5 versus P4? It's just the narrative, man. It drives me crazy.
We're not even waiting on what you talk about, Willis. Like go in right now.
And what a despicable thing for you to post on. I mean, you're a grown man and you throwing shade at some 19-year-old who's out there busting his ass. Like I don't understand that. But but again, AB3 had I thought a great game. George Pettaway, finally, I'm like, where has George Pettaway been? Like the dude is a beast, bro. And I think he, hot take, George Pettaway was underutilized this season. I know he had some injuries. I don't know what his injury status was week to week. But, man, George Pettaway is, I think, one of the most explosive players on our roster. In fact, when you look at Oregon's speed and you look at our speed, George Pettaway is one of those explosive players that kind of matches up with them pretty well. Like, I'm going to give you another movie reference. One of my favorite movies of all time is The First Matrix. And there's a scene in The Matrix when Neo, right, the protagonist, is dodging bullets, and Trinity walks up to him and is like, how'd you do that? You move like they do, right? Saying he moves like the agents, right? That's George Pettaway. Like, I'm looking at Pettaway out on the field, and I'm like, hey, you move like them. You look like an Oregon player out there on the field because he looks so much faster and quicker.
Yeah. No, I totally agree with you. I really was happy to see George Pettaway get in the end zone. I really was happy to see, Dean Kennedy, our offensive coordinator. I was really happy to see him create a mixed match, right? Create a matchup.
Right.
Like, you can create matchups for JMU versus an Oregon and it be in favor of JMU, right?
Yeah.
That's what we saw on that wheel route when George Pettaway went down the left side, and Alonzo had great protection. Shout out to that offensive line.
And it was a beautiful pass.
It was a beautiful pass, and that linebacker had a little speed on him because it kind of had to wait a little bit to George Pettaway, but you knew that he was getting ready to separate. It was like, oh, he's even, that means I'm leaving, right? That means as a quarterback, even I'm leaving, throw the ball, right? Because if you throw the ball above, if your receiver is on the same level as a DB, he's open. And so I thought Alonzo did a great job of being patient. But I thought our offensive line did a great job of protecting him, and George Pettaway just used his speed. It wasn't about anything but speed on that play. And like you said, him and Wayne Knight, Wayne Knight has been showing us this all year, but like these guys look like Oregon type of players, right? But I love the fact that they don't play for Oregon; they play for JMU, and so
that's it.
When we talk about what we look like at JMU, like going back to the expectation word that I used earlier. There's an expectation when you see the JMU brand of what caliber player that you got to be like, and so
no doubt. I loved it, man. I loved it, man. I mean, and again, you said it. We outscored Oregon 28-17 in the second half. And there's some salty Oregon fans out there who hated the fact that we put up 500 yards and scored 34 points. And they're out there trying to create this narrative that it was against a bunch of 2s and 3s and backups. And, that is just laughable to me because how about this? I do believe that Lanning did rotate some players in and out, but so did we, right? You're playing against some of our backups too because we had some injuries. But let's say he's rotating in a couple of linebackers. You got your starting quarterback in the game throwing the ball downfield. So there is no letting off the gas. And I haven't watched the entire game back, so I can't say definitively, who they had on the field. But if you want me to believe that there was a wholesale change of personnel, you took all your starters off the field on defense and put all backups in, I do not believe that. And you think Lanning was happy? I mean, did you watch his post game? Bro was not happy. But he understands that they got to play better on defense. And the other point, I guess, is that, Oregon has blown out a lot of teams this year, right? Are we the only team that they put these second and third strings in, right? Or was it that our team went out and still put up 500 yards? I don't get that narrative for those people to make that excuse.
Well, it's just interesting because there's only one team that left that game on Saturday feeling concerned and salty, right? And it wasn't JMU,
100%.
And I'm gonna just leave it at that.
Well, I mean, I got two things I do want the saltier Oregon fans. By the way, I love the Oregon fans, but there's, I'm thinking about these Twitter beefs that I've been in over the last couple.
Yeah,
of
I can't believe that, bro.
I know I'm an idiot
hilarious.
for that. That's not very smart of me, but you know what? I'm kind of petty sometimes. But so there's two things I want these people to know. Number one, we moved the ball in the first half, right? So you can say what you want to say. Oh, we had backups in. You didn't. First off, your starting quarterback was in the game, throwing the ball downfield. But we also still had 200 yards of total offense in the first half, which also means that I'm not a mathematician, that we're on pace against your starters at full force when you're trying. We're still on pace for 400 yards of total offense. That should still be concerning for you. The second thing they should know before you get into the comments on this video, like, don't even waste your time. Because you know what the second thing is, Vat? I don't care. I mean,
Hey, Van is gone for 2 weeks on the social media,
Right.
so I'm not going to respond.
Bro, I don't care, man. Say what you want to say, yo. It's in the books. 509 and 34 points. It's in the books.
Good season.
And you know what? I'm still like, this is what I equate it to, right? If I'm playing golf, Vat, and I hit a terrible shot and I scull the ball up to the green and it rolls across the green and actually finds the pin and drops in the hole, bro, that's a hole in one. I'm still going nuts, right? I'm still writing it down on my scorecard as a 1. I'm still buying drinks for my foursome. I'm still hanging the plaque from the clubhouse, right? And the next time I'm standing on the tee box and somebody says, have you ever had a hole in one? Guess what I'm going to say? Yes, I have, right? So in 5 years, this is what I want to say. Like in 5 years, when people look back on this game, they're going to see that JMU put up 509 yards of total offense and scored 34 points. There will not be a little asterisk there that said Dan Lanning was rotating his starting linebacker out of the game in the second half. Nobody cares, bro. I don't care. But if I was Oregon, I would care because, the Orange Bowl coming up, they got Texas Tech. That's the number 2 scoring offense in the country. The number 5 offense in total offense. They average 480 yards a game of total offense. And like 48 points a game or something crazy, 42 points a game. So again, if I'm Oregon, I would be very concerned and watch Dan Lanning's post game because bro made no excuses, right? Everybody else wants to make excuses for this defense at Oregon. Dan Lanning made no excuses, right? So he wasn't happy.
And I think it just highlights the talent that JMU has too, though. And I don't want that to be taken lightly, right? Because I mean, he was very disappointed, but it also shows that JMU is a talented team. Now, with all this being said, like we throwing out shots or whatever, talk, speaking our saltiness about losing. With all that being said, man, I can tell you, I'm cheering for Oregon.
Oh yeah, 100%.
I can tell,
100%.
I wanted to make that clear. Like,
yeah,
hey. Not just because we lost, but it may feel a little better if you lose to the national champs.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No question.
But I do, as we transition talking about our defense, man, that quarterback preparing for this game, for the podcast, preparing for this, I had to watch. We had to watch a lot of Oregon, and I'm a quarterback, and so I take a liking to quarterbacks. And, a lot of times I'm supposed to be watching the whole game, but I find myself skipping to just the quarterback.
Yeah.
And this guy,
he's special.
This guy is special. Like Dante, this guy is special. Even the way that he holds the ball in the chamber, we call that the chamber where we hold the ball. Like he don't have many fumbles because the way he holds it so tight and the ball comes out, the ball comes out quick.
Yeah.
Right? It's just fundamentally this guy, whoever his quarterback coach. In fact, I know one of his quarterback coaches, in the tribe or whatever. We have a similar connection. But anyway, the kid is special. He's the only quarterback in college football that I've seen this year that if you look at all his highlight tapes, the DB's back is turned most of the time, which means that he's getting the ball out and means that he's not waiting for his receiver to get wide open. He's getting the ball out as his receiver is just getting open, right?
Yeah.
As soon as his receiver makes the break. And so I knew that would be a challenge going into this game,
Yeah.
because like our DBs, they like to put hands on you, and they turn their bodies because they're focused on their receiver, which they've done a phenomenal job being aggressive all year. I knew we talked about it. We were going to give up some holding penalties,
Oh,
defensive
yeah.
holding, which we did, right?
Yeah. Oh,
But
yeah. And they
it was,
caught it anyway.
and they caught it anyway.
like we're holding him in the end zone. He catches it anyway.
Right.
Right.
And so yeah, man, I just really thought that quarterback was really good. And even from that first possession,
Yeah.
we talked about it as well. One of my concerns going into the game is, our linebackers all year have been covering tight ends by themselves, one-on-one, and they've done a phenomenal job all year. And, if we roll the tape back, I called it out like, hey, I don't think that's going to work against Oregon because their tight ends are wide receivers.
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, these guys. I used to throw the ball to Darren Waller in college. He was a wide receiver. He ended up. I guess he did the reverse, wide receiver to tight end in the NFL. But like the dude has a tight end body, but he's a wide receiver. He was literally my wide receiver at Georgia Tech. And
Yeah.
so that's what you got at Oregon. And man, that first drive, Dante Moore, he looked to the left. Dude already know where he going with the ball.
100%.
I mean, it ain't even no question, but I'm just going to sit right here a little bit, boom, give my tight end a little time. All I got to do is put it up.
Yeah.
First of all, I got the height advantage, and I got the speed advantage. Man, for a tight end, that wins every time.
Every time. Yeah. And we knew that. We knew their tight ends would be a matchup nightmare. I mean, and Trent Hendrick was in coverage on that, and Trent played his heart out.
Yeah,
but
he was right there.
But he had no chance on that play.
He was right there, but no chance.
Yeah, game over. And, I agree with you, man. I'm rooting for Oregon in this college football playoff. Number one, because of the way their fans treated us while we were there. And number two, I think it's a really, really exciting offense to watch. I mean, they got to fix some things on defense for sure. If they're going to win in the Orange Bowl, they got to fix the defense. But this offense is grade A electric. Yeah. And on defense, especially, Vad, we had a hard time matching up with their speed. I mean, they are elite in the skill positions on offense. I thought their offensive line was adequate, right? But on at the skill positions, that's where we had the issue. Because size-wise, like when you think about it, like people make so much of size, right? Especially in football. But if you're 320 and I'm 300, that doesn't mean anything, right? Because I could be stronger than you, even though I'm 300, and I could just have a little more dog in me, right, to out-physical you in the trenches, even if I'm undersized. But if you run 4.3 and I run 4.6, I'm cooked, and there ain't nothing that's going to save me, right? And I think that's a little bit of what we saw. We got found out a little bit on defense with their skill positions. We just didn't match up well at all there.
Yeah, man. And man, I'll tell you what, if you go and look at the highlights, you're going to see the same daggone play, just different ways to get to it. Outside zone.
Right.
I mean, outside, they was hitting those edges.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah. With speed, by the way. I mean,
with speed.
That Hill Jr., that running back, I mean, that dude has wheels. I mean, he stiff arms Justin Eaglin on a little screen play, right?
Yeah.
Justin Eaglin's there to make the tackle. It should be a 2-yard gain. Instead, it's like 70 yards.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I mean, the quarterback went 19 for 27, 313 yards, 4 touchdowns. He did give up those 2 interceptions, which I thought was, especially that one. Who caught the one when he stepped in front of it?
Colt. Elijah Colt.
Colt, yeah. His first interception of the season. I thought that was dope.
It was a great pick. In the stands, we couldn't tell what happened. We thought the ball bounced on the ground and into his hands. But then they showed the replay on one of their 2 jumbotrons. By the way, they got 2 jumbotrons. Nice.
Small stadium, but 2 jumbotrons.
2 jumbotrons, man, is dope. But the other thing too is that like when you think about how aggressively we have to play on defense, right? And we've done it all season, but in this game, we had to take some chances. And so I know there are a lot of our fans that would be like, well, why is that guy wide open running down the middle of the field? Or why are we putting our cornerbacks in single coverage on that guy when he's got so much speed? The reason is we have to. If we don't get pressure on that quarterback, if we don't try something, run something exotic to try to get there, which means that in a lot of cases, we're going to leave people on an island on the back end. That was the only shot that we had. So I don't fault Colin Hitchler at all, because at the end of the day, that stuff's worked for us in the Sun Belt all season, right? We would probably, they might have a guy running wide open, but Xavier Holmes gets to the quarterback before they even get a chance to throw it. Or the other thing that we saw, which, a lot of times this season, is that, Sun Belt quarterback just overthrows that ball and misses them.
Right.
Dante Moore don't miss.
Yeah. And from a rushing standpoint, going into this game, I thought Noah Whittington was like their guy, and like he's their leading rusher this year. This guy only had 24 yards rushing. Yeah. And so if you want to, if we want to find some wins for the defense, I mean, that's a win. I mean, I'm stretching here, right?
Yeah.
But hey, we'll take some wins, right? And so, but their leading, it's interesting because their leading rusher only had 10 carries, which is kind of crazy for 51 point outcome game, and these guys, the Oregon playing against JMU, but he did have 90 yards.
That's Davison, right? True freshman.
Davison, right? And then the Hill guy you talked about only had 6 carries, but he had 76 yards, and so
true freshman.
We gave a lot. We gave a lot of explosive plays, which usually you don't see on our defense. I haven't seen that all year, right? Where these big explosive plays, and especially now, here's another win. We outscored them in the second half, right? If you follow JMU football, you know that we're a second half team. Right?
100%.
Second half is where we make adjustments and we get better. And for us to make some adjustments and outscore this Oregon team who we supposed to had no chance to, it just continues to show like the phenomenal coaching we have, and our players don't quit. Like our players get better as the game goes on. So of course, like in the first half, you're like, oh, this is a blowout. This is going to be a laughing fest. I didn't feel that way going into it. Like it didn't feel good. Let me say that first half.
It was BTA in the first half.
Yeah. That second quarter was just, and I'm not like, even the first quarter, I was cool. Like, bro, y'all supposed to do this. Like, y'all know we're a second half team. You don't even know. Right, you don't even know what's about to hit you, and but then that second quarter came, and it was like, all right, I don't know if we're gonna be able to.
We needed to keep it close in the first half, because to your point, I did have faith that we would be a second half team and play better in the second half, because the other thing about speed is that it also takes you a while to adjust to it. Right, I remember when I got to the NFL, the biggest adjustment for me was just how fast everybody was. Right. So in college, I could, bounce a running play out to the outside and outrun a defensive end and get up the field for 4 or 5 yards. In the NFL, you bounce to the outside, you might get tackled for loss by a defensive end for negative 2 yards. And so just understanding the speed and adjusting to it, I knew we would adjust to their speed and play better in the second half, because your pursuit angles, especially on defense, are totally different. Right? Like if I'm pursuing a guy that runs 4.6, I can take a pretty bad pursuit angle and still maybe make the play, grab a shoestring or whatever. You take a bad pursuit angle against a 4.3 Hill Jr., and he's out the gate, bro. And we saw that in the first half. We didn't see that in the second half. Same with, that guy Malik Benson, bro. That dude's elite. I said last week he's probably a late first rounder, early second rounder. We just put the dude in the top 10. Right?
Absolutely.
He top 10 pick. Absolutely. And that McClellan kid, man, also absolutely elite. So, I really do like this Oregon offense. Hats off to them, man. They had a great game plan. They played really well. But also hats off to our kids, who I think went out and competed and played really well. I honestly think that if we played this game again 2 weeks from now, with our team having felt it, right? You get into a boxing ring and until you felt the punch of a heavyweight champion, then you might get knocked out the first time because you're just not ready for it. I do think that going into it a second time, our team would feel a lot better and be much better adjusted to compete there on defense.
Yeah. No, I agree. And just some last statistics as we transition. I mean, we had a total of 509 yards compared to Oregon, who had 514. And that's 5 yard difference. They did have 2 turnovers, 0, right? So, when you look at this game on paper, you're like, Wait a minute. And the first downs, both of them had 22.
Yeah.
Now, the penalty yards, we had 113 of their 71. So that, I mean, that obviously makes a major difference. And then the biggest difference was third down. They were 3 for 7 on third downs, meaning that they only had 7 third downs all game. Right.
Yeah.
We couldn't get them into those third situations where we put pressure on them. And that was the difference of the game.
Oh, yeah.
Compared to us, who had 22 third downs, where we went 9 for 22. And so
at times, bro, it looked like Dante Moore was playing 7-on-7. Like,
no doubt.
It was like 7-on-7 drill.
And that's not, here's the thing. That won't just JMU, though. Like, this dude,
I agree.
season long, he just seems like he got this calm demeanor, like just cool, calm, collected, right? That's Dante Moore. And so I'm a fan of Dante Moore. I think he's the best quarterback in college football. And I think he's the most pro-ready.
Better than Mendoza, you think?
Yeah, I think he's most pro-ready. And so.
Wow. You heard it here first.
I mean, hey, I'm just some old quarterback that, maybe not know anything, but
hey, you a has been, not a never was.
No doubt, has been.
So,
but yeah, man,
the pick to Justin Eaglin though, that was his worst throw of the night. I don't know if somebody got a hand on it because I didn't get to see it back, but that was a bad throw. Eaglin made a good play. Elijah Culp had a chance to go to the crib with his. He just cut back across the field the wrong way, bro. I'm like, stay to the right and go down the sideline. You score.
Yeah. It's interesting because I saw a lot of people slipping and falling. Like, was the field like slippery or something? Like, because it seemed like it only was happening to us. And so, like, Elijah Culp, he cut and then he fell. Like, he just slipped and then
Nike sent us a bad batch of cleats. They gave Oregon the good cleats. They gave us the bad ones, but.
Because even one of our receivers like slipped on the sideline. Nicky D, I think he could have had the first down. Like he slipped right before. We ended up picking it up, but it was just like, dang, bro, you had 1 yard and slipped. Yeah. So anyway, but yeah, those that block punt that just like changed the game. I mean, the game was made the game seem like out of hand, right?
I will say the we didn't have any turnovers per se. The blocked field goal felt like a turnover, right?
Yes.
Because technically it was a turnover on downs. And I'm telling you, if we get points there, even if it was just 3, right? Because we had the momentum, that would have helped us. And then the blocked punt in the second half, I mean, was that in the second half or the first half? It was in the second half. Because it was right after Nicky D, I think, scored and then they scored again. And then we had the punt blocked. And I mean, that was a backbreaker. And, we kind of got blown up on that play a little bit, and you just, that's one of the things you're going to learn from, man. That guy sees that next time and he's going to be so much better equipped to handle that. But that was bad. But I think overall, I thought Patrick Ray, I thought he punted the ball really well. I thought we covered Malik Benson really well because that dude is dangerous with the ball in his hands. And I thought Morgan Suarez, man, I mean, he got the one block, but he made a couple of field goals, man, that we needed. So, I mean, I thought our special teams played well in this game outside of those 2 plays.
Yeah, I agree.
So overall, man, great showing. I'm so glad that we punched the ball in at the end of that game with 1 minute and 9 seconds left. I'm glad it was Alonzo Barnett III that punched it in. And, I'll give you one more movie reference, Vad. That was kind of like our Cool Runnings moment. You remember the Jamaican bobsled team?
Oh, man, one of my favorite movies of all time.
Great movie, right? And they fall off the sled, right? And then they walk it down the ice, and everybody cheers for them and claps at the end. That touchdown at the end was kind of our Cool Runnings moment. Because I'm telling you, man, in that stadium, bro, we went crazy. JMU Nation went crazy. Throwing the streamers. I had Oregon fans around me high-fiving us because we scored that touchdown. Like, it was electric. And all of a sudden, you hear these chants.
I'm not sure how I feel about this. But
hey,
okay.
because here's why, bro. Because they respected us. Like, to me, that was them saying respect. Because in that moment, there are chants throughout the stadium, JMU, JMU. And I'm looking at these Oregon fans. They like, though, these people are different. Because we are, right? We got a lot of pride in our football program. Again, I'm so proud of this team and this program because of the way they went out there and competed. And I don't care what anybody says. If anybody wants to say we didn't belong, I think we got a lot of respect and love out of Oregon. But most importantly, all of JMU Nation loves and respects what this team did for us this season.
Yeah, man, that's beautiful, by the way. I appreciate you. I appreciate you taking a moment to put us there, right? I think it's easy when you're watching on TV or, you're outside of it and not in the environment. It takes away the humanistic part of the game. And,
Right.
but when you're there in that environment and you think about our players that got that uniform on, that got that jersey on, knowing that this is their last game of the
Right.
season and potentially their last game in their JMU career, right? No matter if you're an underclassman or if you're a senior, especially for those seniors, when you go out, on a touchdown drive, right? And
Right.
even though, it's almost like, hey, what are you doing this for? It's about pride. It's about the brand. It's about all the work that you've put in all season long. It's about you finishing strong, finish what you started, and no, we're not gonna come out with the victory outcome, but we can come out with the victory mindset, right?
Yeah.
And I think, so much of what you said, which is why I said I categorize it as beautiful, is because it's a mindset thing.
Right.
That mindset can change, like, it can change everything about a program going forward. And I think that we have the right minds in place and even the right minds coming, like a Billy Napier,
That's it.
to build off of that. And so, yeah, man, I appreciate you sharing that, bro, because like, certainly I'm not going to be here at home, JMU, yeah, we scored one
Yeah.
minute. But if I'm in that stadium and I'm honoring our players and our coaches that's there, that's a pretty special moment.
Yeah, and they felt it too. A lot of the players were looking back, man, and like giving one of these. I mean, it was a pretty special moment, man. And you know what? I gotta say, man, it was worth the $2,000 it took me to get out there. So,
Hey,
so just sort of a couple of final thoughts, man. I guess obviously, the G5 did not perform well enough in this playoff, I guess, to sort of change the narrative. And I would say the narrative was already written before these games even started, right? Irrespective of what happened. Because, I looked at, as soon as we left the game, we got back to our Airbnb, right? Again, I got to go with some former teammates. We had a phenomenal time together, just reminiscing
That's
on
awesome.
old football times. But as soon as we got back, we turned on ESPN. Scott Van Pelt does a highlight package for Oregon versus JMU, all Oregon highlights.
Yep.
All Oregon offensive highlights, not one JMU highlight, not
Yep.
one, right? Not even Nikki D housing their DBs for a touchdown. And at that moment, and then of course he comes to some guy, I can't even remember who the dude was, and he's like, so obviously the G5 did not perform well, and what does this mean going forward? And then the G5 slander just starts. And I'm just telling you, man, I don't think it would have mattered. Even if both of these games were close, they would have found another avenue to say that the G5 does not belong. And, I didn't get a chance to watch the Tulane game. Did you get a chance to watch it?
I seen a little bit. They was getting beat, like.
But it was 17-3 at halftime, right?
Was it?
That's why I was curious what it actually looked like throughout the game. Obviously, we were tailgating, and so we couldn't watch it. But I'm going to go back and watch it. But, I think that, next year, obviously, they've already changed the rule, right? Did you see this?
No, you're enlighten me, bro.
Yeah. So again, and I hope I'm not speaking out of turn, but I do believe that this is already set in stone, that the Power Four conferences get automatic bids. So the Power Four conference champions get automatic bids, right? Irrespective of their ranking. So what that means is in this year, where 8-5 Duke, right, a 5-loss Duke team wins the conference championship, they would get an automatic bid based on next year's rules. So the G5 still gets that one guaranteed spot because it's still going to be the top 5 highest rated conference champions. But by giving the P4 the automatic bid, by putting that criteria in there, right, irrespective of ranking, now that ensures that we'll never have 2 group of 5 player teams in the playoff ever again, right? And by the way, I think that's right. I'm okay with that. I mean, I've long since said that the reason everybody's head is exploding this year is because we got 2 in, instead of our normal 1. But even if this season played out like a million times, it probably wouldn't have happened again anyway. Right. But they put some stipulations around it. I think the other thing is that Notre Dame next year, if they are ranked inside the top 12, they are guaranteed a spot in the playoff, because obviously they don't have an opportunity to play in a conference championship. So what do you think about those new stipulations and rules, Vad?
I mean, I'm not mad at it. Obviously, a lot of this has to do with Notre Dame, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Not getting in, and I'm not mad at it. I mean, I think you said it best. It's two G5 teams that kind of made it, which was unusual, but it was a lot of things that had to happen for even JMU to get in that worked out in our favor, where it wasn't about us not being good enough. It was about like people couldn't like finish their season strong enough, right?
Yeah.
And so like the ACC was going to be in. Like JMU had nothing to do with that.
Yeah,
and,
exactly.
And so I
don't care that these games weren't necessarily super close, because I think we talked about this on our Twitter, right? I mean, I look at last year with Oregon, Ohio State. Oregon was down 34-0,
right,
with 2 minutes left in the first half. So I mean, it looked a lot like our game. Now they scored at the end of the first half and made it 34-8, but they went in the halftime only being down 2 points less than we were against them.
Right.
It was 34-8. We were down 34-6. It looked the exact same. So I don't want to hear. It's not about G5 and P4. It's about giving teams the access and the opportunity to play and compete at the highest level. And that would feel like a national championship to our programs.
Yeah, I mean, even from a playoff standpoint, if you look at the NFL, I think about those, like, I don't know, like the daggone Giants, Eli Manning, 9-7, just barely getting in, wild card. And next thing you know, they lead their team to the Super Bowl. It gives, it gives guys, or the smaller teams that are really good, but it still gives them an opportunity to kind of fit that mold where you just never know what could happen. And at some point, because of the transfer portal, at some point, because of all the things that are going on, man, this thing can look totally different, where they're going to have to change the rules again.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
Some small school might have this rich guy or a woman like
Texas Tech did this year. Texas Tech bought their roster with a crypto bro, right?
Absolutely.
And I just think, there was no need for an overreaction. And the overreaction that we've all heard is the G5 needs their own playoff. Now, that's an overreaction to an anomaly that happened this year that's probably not going to happen ever again anyway. In fact, you just changed the rules to make sure it doesn't happen. So we don't need that overreaction. And the other thing that kind of drives me crazy is that P4 and G5, those are made up terms, right? Like, I don't know who made them up, but that's not a real term. Right? There are teams that have better resources than other teams, but there's no such thing as Power 4 and Group of 5. And now I guess with the Pac-12 coming back, it's the Group of 6. But this guy, Brian McFadden on CBS, like I'm just watching some of the post-game stuff about JMU and the Oregon game, and he's like, P4 schools have different weight room and nutrition. Bro, stop the cap. Bro, the P4 schools don't have better weight room and weight programs and nutrition. That's not a true fact, right? Now, there are some teams that have better resources at all levels. So if you're talking about Oregon versus UL Monroe, and again, not throwing shots at UL Monroe, but I think it's well documented that is an under-resourced program right now, then sure, okay, Oregon probably has some nutritional things that they're doing right now. But you look at a well-resourced program like James Madison, there is no discrepancy, weight room, nutrition, none of that, right? They got more money to give players, that's for sure. They might have some more bells and whistles in their facilities. They got a nice indoor facility and they're building another one, but they don't have a different weight program than JMU. Bro, dude also said they got better coaches, right? And I'm like, do you not understand where these coaches came from? Like, do you think that the coaching fairy or Santa Claus just dropped Kurt Signetti off in Indiana? He came from us. He came from the G5. So what are you talking about? They got better coaches. So anyway, I just think we need to change that, because when you look at what this playoff appearance did for not only JMU, but the Sun Belt, the Sun Belt got more money, which means that next season, our conference across the board is a little more resourced, right? JMU itself, we got more money. And now we can upgrade, maybe some things around the program, the facilities, but also that national brand being mentioned nationally for the last 2 weeks, right, have done wonders for what we might be able to do in terms of recruiting talented players, retaining our current players. And so now the next year, because this is what it's about leveling up. Because now next year, maybe we do have a 4-star kid that decided to come to JMU because of all this, who now can match up with, their, Oregon's top dogs, right?
Yeah.
So I just think it's all about leveling up. And if you take away the access to this playoff, then you create a poverty system that does not allow a program like JMU to level up because we've been blackballed from even competing.
Yeah, I mean, shoot, maybe we get a DJ Lagway there, from Florida.
Well, that's a great question for what I want to ask you, man. Like, what happens next, right? So,
let me say this because this goes with your last point. I'd so much rather have had JMU in this college football playoffs than going to some bowl game, and and I'm not knocking bowl because bowl week is an exciting time, right?
100%.
But you just highlighted why being in the college football. First of all, we're one of I think 27 teams to ever make it, or 24, 20 something, 27 I think it is, to make it to the college football playoffs.
Yeah.
And when you think about JMU, who hasn't even been in FBS that long, like where do we go from here? Is your question, right?
Yeah.
You just have to. There's no cap, there's no ceiling.
Yeah.
Right. There's no ceiling to where this thing can go, especially because you have so many people that are buying into the vision of where JMU is now, but the potential of where JMU can be in later down the road. Right. Because if you're there now, then I'm like, something's good about this Kool-Aid at JMU. Right. That purple, something is popping. And so if they're doing this now, I wonder what it looks like with a resourced JMU, a JMU that has a Billy Napier, that has done really, really well in the Sun Belt, that has great experience, come from a good lineage like Clemson, Dabo Swinney, and all those guys, right? And so, and that was just in the SEC at Florida. And so where do we go from here, man? There's really you really cannot put it, you can't put a ceiling on where JMU can go.
Right.
If you want to put a national championship, that's cool to put that, right? That's not, that shouldn't be, out of the box, out of the picture, right? You know what I mean? Like that is our standard, and that's where we should go at this point.
Yeah, I do think the sky is the limit for this program, but here's what I think it's going to take, man. So as we think about what needs to happen next, we need a core group of these players that are on this team right now to say, you know what? I know I could transfer out, and we got this coaching change, and it's kind of weird and all this. I don't want to go through another coaching change for some of these kids, right? This might be their third coaching change. I don't want to go through that again. But we just need a core group of players to say, you know what, let's run it back. Because I honestly think if the core group of this team comes back for another season, we can run this thing back. So we need AB3 to say, y'all, let's run it back. We need Wayne Knight to say, let's run it back. Landon Ellis, Sahir West, Justin Eaglin, George Petaway, right? Lakota Dipree, Aiden Gobira, let's run it back. Carter Sweezy, let's run it back. DJ Barksdale, Chase Regan, KJ Flo, like we need these guys to say, let's run it back. That's one of the reasons I was so confident when I made my prediction on August 23rd at 8:08 p.m. this year and said this team could win a college football playoff because last year, we had a core group of players that said, let's run it back.
And you also credit that to being the bowl experience, having that experience help them to vision beyond what they can do than winning the Boca Raton Bowl, like you go to the college football. So now being in the college football playoffs, next year you come back, man, you're now being in the playoffs is no longer a standard. Like that's longer it's like, no, bro, going to compete in the college.
Let's go win one.
Playoff. Let's go win it,
Bro, let's go run it back and go win one. Because if I'm any of these players that I just named, you go into that transfer portal and, I got to tell you, man, you probably got a better chance at James Madison. Ask Eric O'Neal, who went 4 and whatever he went at Rutgers this past year, right? Eric O'Neal might have been in the backfield all day against Oregon because he was that kind of player for us last year. But he went to
Yeah,
Rutgers.
guys get drafted. Guys get drafted on games like what JMU just played, Oregon.
Exactly.
Guys literally get drafted on games like that. Like, dang, let me go back and check this guy's film from JMU. I know, like, I ain't really been paying attention, but this dude just balled out against Oregon.
100%, bro. And again, Alonzo Barnett stood up at the podium and in his post-game conference and said, "I'm a Duke through and through." So again, I like to try to read tea leaves. I'm gonna take him at his word in that he's saying, "Hey, I was an Oregon fan growing up, but I'm a Duke through and through," which means, you know what? I want to stay here and end my career here. That would be phenomenal. I do know that Billy Napier, from all accounts, has asked for transparency over the last couple of weeks with Chesney and saying, who are you keeping, right? Who are you trying to take out the UCLA with you? I need to know, because as I build my roster, I need to know what we're working with as I go out and try to compete. And, I met one of the players for one of the players' parents at the airport on the way out to Eugene. And they said the players love Napier. Like a lot of them were like, "Yo, what are we going to do? What does this mean? Are we going to leave transfer portal?" And a lot of them now are like, "Hey, we're really comfortable with Billy Napier. We're probably sticking around." So I do think that's a good sign.
Yeah, it's interesting because he's been around for the last 2 weeks, right?
Yeah.
And so he's got to shake hands with some guys. He's got to get to know some guys. In fact, it's more of an advantage for Billy Napier than a Bob Chesney.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is, if I'm Bob Chesney, I'm kind of feeling like, kind of like protective. Like, no, that's mine. Like, don't talk. Don't even say, hey, like that's my girl. Like, that's mine. Like
My girl.
yeah. Like, I know you the new guy on the block, but I'm going with me. And so, but it highlight it is more of an advantage for him to have been there through this process, because it's easy to jump into the portal when you don't know the guy who's coming. Like, I heard about this guy, but I don't know him. So
True story.
I ain't even giving it a chance. I don't even want to give it a chance because I know Bob Chesney, right? But now it's almost like, man, this dude, he's kind of talking good, or like I kind of feel I kind of like his vibe, or it could be anything. It could be a plethora of things that matters to the player, right?
Yeah.
Only the player would know what matters to him. And so for him to have been there the last 2 weeks, it just, it's an advantage for JMU.
Yeah. And, I would also say Bob Chesney, that's a tough sell to ask a kid to go across the country, right? For Signetti, it's not as hard a sell to ask a kid to come to Indiana. But to ask a kid to go across 3 time zones and go to California, I mean, I do think that is a tough sell. I do think, like, with Chesney.
But it's Cali, though. It's Cali, though. Come on.
It is Cali. But still, I think it's a tough sell. I mean, again, I don't think people have asked me this. I don't think there will be wholesale players jumping in the portal to go to UCLA with Chesney. But I also don't have any delusions that we won't have some of our key players who enter the portal to go somewhere, right? I mean, there are some players on this roster who have earned the opportunity to go make a bag if that's important to them. I happen to think that the JMU experience, and, it's not like you're not going to make any money at JMU, and also to have the opportunity to win another championship next year and also compete in the college football playoff year in and year out, I do think that's probably should be as important as making a bag somewhere. I will say this. What was interesting is that, if you remember when Signetti left, and then we hired Chesney, we had all kind of our high school recruits that flipped their commitments and went somewhere else. It looks like the entirety of our recruiting class from a high school perspective stayed. And that's a big difference and maybe a tell for what may actually happen with this roster.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of not Signetti, Chesney, he's a rock star, right? Like, he's a rock star. And Napier is more like, I don't know, it kind of feels like homey, right? It kind of feels like JMU is home. It kind of feels like not safe, but it just feels like you're going to get a hardcore, solid experience under Napier for some time. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And because he has history and because, he has history in the Sun Belt and because that Florida name, hey, let's be honest, like that Florida name carries a lot of weight. People like popularity, right? And
Yeah.
people like being around other popular people, right? Bob Chesney is a rock star that has stepped on the scene, right? And like is earning his popularity as he go. Billy Napier has kind of been in that seat for a while. I mean, they had a whole SEC show where, they would follow him around in his office at Florida and interview him, talk to him. And so you really got to get to know this guy. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Oh yeah.
And so people can see what they're getting. And so they can buy into what they're already getting where, you know, I'm not saying that people don't really know the Bob Chesney experience yet, but it's still kind of building itself. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so, I do think that, it favors more of a JMU when it comes to, the expectations of how to move forward. Now, don't get me wrong, Bob Chesney has done a phenomenal job. And I want to say that,
Yeah. He has.
since that this is our last, podcast of the year. I mean, dude is a rock star and he brought some rock star flavor to JMU after already a success that Segnetti has already carried forward. And so I think that Billy Napier will be able to do the same thing. And he left JMU in a great place. And I mean, he's given Billy Napier the keys to a really fancy, a nice car. But I do believe that Billy Napier is gonna make it his own. And
Yeah.
I don't even think he's gonna drive the fancy car, the Ferrari or whatever. I think he's gonna build this thing out of the mud, like as if like let's keep building, but like let's
Yeah.
build in a grind type of way.
Yeah. I think you nailed it. I think from an expectation standpoint, I think we know what we have in Billy Napier more than UCLA knows what they have in Bob
That's
Chesney.
a good statement.
You
Yeah,
know?
that's a good statement.
And that's not shade to Bob Chesney. It's just that he's moving to compete in recruiting in the Big Ten and performing in the Big Ten. And there's a question mark there, right?
And it's more about UCLA than Bob Chesney.
It's more
right?
about
It's like,
UCLA than Bob
it's not
Chesney.
even Bob Chesney. It's like UCLA. Woo, that's a tough one.
That's a tough road to hoe, right? And with Billy Napier, he's been in the Sun Belt before. He's Sun Belt Billy, right? I mean, we know what we have in Billy Napier, but what's cool about him is he's, I think, going to professionalize our recruiting to a more upper echelon level of recruiting,
so.
right? He's
Yeah.
hired all these, sort of player personnel people who, again, are going to professionalize the idea of recruiting and building a roster. So instead of even thinking about it as recruiting, it's how do we build a roster? And I think that's an important thing. And I think, I also think he's going to bring us consistency, Vad, because if you look at the Boise State and their success year in and year out,
That's a good one.
right? They eventually went from people doubting them to people tolerating them because they just kept winning. And then people went from tolerating them
I don't want to see him.
to accepting them, though.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
Yeah.
we didn't hear the same type of G5 slander last year against Boise State as we're hearing right now. And it's because on the national stage, people are like, oh, yeah, that's Boise State. They got that national brand. And so I think right now, people are in the stage now, if you look at it, people are still doubting JMU. But Billy Napier gives us that consistency. Some of our kids say, let's run it back. And then they go from doubting us to tolerating us. And eventually they'll start accepting us. Right.
Yeah, man. I could say I might have sent Alonzo a text, and he won the Dudley Award, right? I was the first two-time Dudley Award winner ever.
Let's go.
And I'm like, hey, you can do that too, two-time,
Run it back. Did he reply?
and-
Did he reply? Can you tell us?
Oh, yeah, he replied, but I don't have any special news. He's gonna make a decision himself. And honestly, man, I think about you and our career. Like, we did not have this level of pressure or this level of like, I'm a loyal guy, and I like to think that I'm a loyal guy. But I didn't have this level of this school telling me I can make this amount of money and
Yeah.
like I can be a loyal guy and still love JMU. Just like the Tulane coach who
Yeah.
gave back. He gave back. What did he give back? $1 million.
$100,000.
$100,000.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like
Where you at, Chesney?
that's how I would show my loyalty. Like, hey, I love the Dukes. Ooh, right.
So if you had got a mill, you would have given 100,000 back to JMU.
I would have absolutely done
20,000.
something like that. I would have done something like that. And so Chesney,
Chesney hasn't done that yet, by the way.
well, I mean, the guy just coached his. He was just coaching. He ain't got that bad.
Summerall did it before the playoff game.
Oh, he sure did. He coached that game, didn't he?
Yeah, he coached our game, and he said, "I'm giving him 100 G's before I bounce." I mean, I think that's a really cool. I mean, again, maybe he's doing it. Maybe Summerall is more the LeBron, announcement kind of guy, and Chesney's more of a real G's move in silence, like lasagna kind of guy, and he's doing it behind the scenes like Michael Jordan, right?
Yeah.
But either way.
No doubt. Well, I mean, Florida and UCLA, anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a little different too,
That is a little different.
But yeah, man. Alonzo does have to be another JMU guy. He got an opportunity to be another JMU guy to win the Dudley Award twice, the best player in the state of Virginia next year. Obviously, that would mean that he's in Virginia, and let me be clear, he's at JMU, and so
Yeah, because he could win it. He could win it at Virginia Tech next year, right?
Yeah, that's why I said. That's why I was like, "Dang, wait a minute, that's the best player in Virginia." Which, by the way, they've done. I mean, they're killing it. And
Nobody cares, bro. Stop bringing up. Nobody cares. I don't care.
I'm just saying.
So I'm excited about the Billy Napier era getting ready to get started. And but right now, Vad, I know we're getting a little long. Let's transition to what you're talking about, Willis.
What you talking about? What you talking about? What you talking about? What you talking about, Willis?
All right, so I don't want to give this quote any more air. I only want to give this quote from Nick Saban, right? I only want to give this air because of the reply from someone affiliated with James Madison University, because I thought it is a signal for what is to come for this program and this university, right? So obviously everybody knows, especially in JMU Nation, that we got some shade thrown on us by, some people would consider to be the greatest football coach of all time, college football coach anyway, and Nick Saban. And he said, I think it was on the Pat McAfee show, look, will we allow the winner of the AAA baseball league in the World Series playoffs? That's the equivalent of what we do when JMU gets in the college football playoff and Notre Dame doesn't. I mean, I don't want to start any crap here, but it is what it is. And I'm not even going to talk about the quote itself because it's absurd on so many levels, right? But here's the reply from President Jim Schmidt, the university president of James Madison University, his wife. And she is a ride or die, right? And
they become, both of them. I didn't know about his wife, but he be coming with that noise.
That's what I'm talking about, man. And that's why I said I think it's a sign for what's to come for this university and this program. Because the university president's wife went on ESPN's comment section on Facebook and said, not a good look, Nick. You mentored a former JMU hotshot coach and our newest coach. The integrity lacking in the current system comes from this kind of elitist, protectionist, money-driven BS rhetoric. Guess what? Lack of integrity equals lack of relevance. JMU football is relevant because these young men work extra hard in all aspects of their lives. This is the kind of leadership our country needs right now, not more over-tanned, attention-grabbing negativity. Shut up and watch. Then apologize to Signetti and Napier for your disrespectful blather.
She told that man to apologize.
She told that man to apologize, bro, and for your disrespectful blather. Like Kim Schmidt, first lady of JMU at this point, says, Nick Saban, what are you talking about, Willis? Bro, I love this woman. And by the way, if this is like some sort of spam account that is impersonating her, I would be so disappointed. But I'm pretty sure this is a legitimate account and a legitimate response from the First Lady of James Madison University.
Bro, that is golden. Thank you for bro, that was your best what you talk about Willis all season. Bro,
Yeah.
me being off social media, I needed to hear some drama. I needed to hear that's good.
And by the way, good for her for coming to our defense, because I got to be honest, man, I was really disappointed. There is coaches all across this country right now. As much as I was disappointed in the comment from Nick Saban, I've probably been more disappointed in the lack of support from other coaches around the country. Like, you would think that at some point somebody would say, even at the Power 4 level, because that's what we need. We need allies. We need the coach at Ohio State to say, you know what? Yeah, those guys do belong in the playoff. I mean, they worked hard just like everybody else. We need Ryan Day to come out and say that publicly. Nobody has said that, which is strange to me. And furthermore, Bob Chesney was asked point blank in the post-game press conference after the Oregon game, Bob, a lot has been made of G5 programs being in this playoffs. Would you say they belong? And Bob Chesney gave the worst answer. I was so disappointed in his answer because all he had to say was absolutely yes. G5 and blah, blah, blah. And we play hard and we deserve to be here. He said, that's an answer for somebody above my pay grade. I'm not equipped. Bro, stop beating around the bush and say that our team belongs and G5 teams should be included. That is a terrible answer on the way out of this program. But I guarantee you, if he was staying at JMU, he would have said absolutely.
For sure.
But you're going to UCLA. Sorry, man, I'm getting fired up now.
Yeah,
yeah. I just that one pick like drove me crazy that he was asked point blank and he did not answer the question in the affirmative for the G5.
Yeah, no, that's real, bro.
That's indefensible.
Because if you if you're coming back, then you want to be in this position again, right? You do not want to not play in the college football. You want to play in the college football playoffs, and so that is a little strange. I didn't see that.
That was whack.
But they hit Nick Saban with Nick Saban. I mean, that's rat poison, right? That's his favorite. That's his favorite line. I mean, what him saying that is rat poison when it comes to the JMU program in itself. And you said it best in terms of about the 12 best seasons. This was about the 12 best seasons in JMU. There's no question. You look at our schedule and you look at what we've done in our body of work all year long, and even include the Oregon game. Right. This was a phenomenal season. People want to see those Rocky Balboas. Right. You talked about it. You use movie quotes like we live in. I mean, you got to give the underdog an opportunity, to make it special. That's why people still go to the movie theaters.
That's exactly right.
If we know what's coming, I ain't trying to see that. If it's the same ending in every movie, I'm not really trying to watch that movie every year.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Totally.
But when there's a twist and there's a difference, we don't like change. That's the thing about us as people. We don't like change. Right. But then when we finally experience it, it's like, man, that was kind of cool. Like Boise State, you brought up Boise State. When I will always remember when I was a little boy, them going down to beat Oklahoma. And then the dude proposed to the cheerleader, the running back who scored the winning touchdown, proposed to his girlfriend on the field. Like those things as a little boy, I never wanted to play at Boise State. I never wanted to play on that small level. Right. I wanted to be on the big level.
Yeah.
However, that created a picture in my head like, hey, you can still accomplish your dreams wherever you are. You can still show up on a big level wherever you are. I said it last week. I learned that everything that you thought that you could accomplish on a big level or at the Florida, for me at Georgia Tech, everything that I wanted to accomplish at Georgia Tech, I accomplished it at JMU and more. Yeah. I thought that I could only have college game day if I was at Georgia Tech in the ACC. Right. I thought that, I could only rush and pass, be the only player in college football history to rush and pass for over 275 yards if I was in the ACC playing at a Georgia Tech, right?
Tell them that.
Top talent. You know what I mean? So, like, everything that you thought that you could accomplish at whatever other level, you can actually accomplish at JMU. And so for our players that are thinking about what should I do, right? I can only do this if I'm on this level, though, right? You know, is that right? No, that's wrong, right? You can make the college football playoffs at JMU.
Yep.
Right?
Amen.
Right? You can be the best player. You can play on the top level, right, at JMU. And so you can play against the Oregons at JMU.
Preach.
And so
Tell
So
them
yeah,
that.
man, I'm off my soapbox, but man,
Hey, I finally got you fired up, man. It took me like 18 episodes of To the House season 2 to get you fired up.
no, because I want Oregon to bring me in to speak. You know, not against JMU. I need Bob Chanson to bring me at UCLA.
All right, man. Well, listen, as the season comes to a close, man, I'm going to take us to the house one more time. You just took us to the house, but I'm going to take us to the house one more time. And VAD and JMU Nation, there's always a moment at the end of every season when the noise gets loud, opinions start flying, narratives get written by people who weren't in the stands, who weren't in the cold, and who weren't in the fight. And if you're not careful, you can let that noise make you forget what actually happened. But pause for a second, take a breath, and really think about what this JMU football team gave us this season. They gave us Saturdays we'll talk about for years. They gave us moments that made Bridgeforth feel alive. They gave players memories that will stay with them long after their pads have come off, and fans memories that live way beyond the final score. This team didn't just win games, they built belief. They carried a program onto a national stage and forced the country to pay attention to Harrisonburg, Virginia. They reminded people what this place is about: edge, toughness, pride, togetherness, brotherhood. And here's the thing, they can't take it away. They can't take away the nights under the lights when the crowd roared and the tarps came off. They can't take away the road wins, the big moments, the feeling that this was something special. They can't take away the respect that was earned snap by snap and quarter by quarter. They can debate resumes, they can argue rankings, they can move the goalpost, but they can't take away what this season meant. They can't take away the joy. They can't take away the pride. They can't take away the moment the students rushed the field as our team held up the Sun Belt Championship trophy 2 weeks ago as the confetti fluttered in the wind. And most of all, they can't take away the spirit of JMU Nation, because that spirit isn't tied to one coach, whether it's Chesney or Billy Napier. It's not tied to one quarterback, whether it's AB3 or some other guy none of us has ever heard of yet. That spirit lives in the culture. It lives in the stands. It lives in the expectation that every time you put on that JMU helmet, you compete, you fight, and you represent something bigger than yourself. Seasons end, names change, stories evolve. But this belief, this pride, this standard, they can't take it away. And JMU Nation, they never will. And that's it, Dad. We've taken it to the house for the final time in this season. What a year, man. I'm so proud of this team. I want to thank you for being a great co-host with me in this season of To the House, man. We had a lot of fun. I want to thank all of our listeners, man, for tuning in week and week out. I want to thank our producer, Jack Fitzpatrick from JMU Sports News, for hanging in there with us and making this thing happen every single week. But most of all, man, I'm really appreciative of this team and these players for what they gave us and what they gave me personally this season, because I got a lot of joy watching them play.
Yeah, man. I echo that, bro. It's been an amazing season. And I tell you, man, I said this earlier in, one of the earlier episodes. I'm not a huge fan. I'm a player. Like, I like playing the game. But this year, because of To the House podcast and being on here, you're like the ultimate JMU fan. Like, you're an alum, but you've been alum for such a long time. You have now into that fan. Like, you're like the ultimate fan. And so it's been a joy being able to be here on with you and see your excitement and like going to every game. I'm like, wait, what? You're going to this
older
game?
kids,
Right? But yeah, man, it's been a fun season following the Dukes, and the Dukes gave us everything that you can like want. Everybody want to finish with that national championship trophy in their hand, but there's only one team that's able to do that out of the 160-something teams, 30-something teams that are out there. And for them to finish the season the way that they did, for us to go out as a 2-loss season versus some 2 talented teams, I thought that this season was phenomenal. Our players, our fans, the listeners, the comments on YouTube or wherever, all of those have been meaningful, right? Even the ones that got Delvin, into some wars, some finger wars, right? All of that is meaningful. All of that is purposeful. And so I just want to encourage everybody one last time, go Dukes.
Go Dukes. We'll be back, man, next season. Maybe something here and there in between time. But in the meantime, man, looking forward to everybody having a great Christmas holiday. And again, for one last time, go Dukes.
Go Dukes.